For the last 24 to 48 hours, we've seen a bit of a bloodbath in crypto as Bitcoin has plunged towards the downside. Ethereum and the rest of the crypto market has followed. Obviously, guys, this is because of what's happened with interest rates in the US. We've seen that the Fed pushing some news that has basically made a lot of investors pretty nervous about their investments. So we've seen the Nasdaq, etc., falling pretty aggressively. So what's really happening right now, guys? Should we be panicking? Well, we're going to take a look in today's video what exactly is happening in Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market, as well as referring to some market psychology, which you might not think is so important, but it really drives the entire price of everything, guys. So what I want to refer you to, guys, is the Bitcoin chart. We have seen, this is on the weekly, by the way, we've seen this pattern unfolding over the last few months, so all the way pretty much back since January last year, so not just a few months, nearly over a year and a half, and we have seen these lower highs being put in each time. And as we're seeing these lower highs getting put in, guys, this actually ultimately, although it doesn't feel like it right now, might be something that's kind of bullish. We have seen these higher highs as well. Right now, literally as we speak, we are testing this lower level here, and potentially if we are to break it down, could be pretty alarming for the Bitcoin price. But I want to show you something really significant. I've referred to it quite a lot on my channel if you haven't already seen it, and that, guys, is the Wall Street cheat sheet. So in terms of what drives the market moving prices up, moving prices down, ultimately, guys, is to do with market psychology, how people are feeling, and ultimately when you, the retail investor, and I, the retail investor, are investing money, we get made to feel certain emotions. Like, for example, today you've probably been feeling pretty anxious, pretty nervous about what's happening right now, and that tends to mean that we are nearing the bottom of the cycle. I'm not guaranteeing that we're not going to go any lower, but I'm just looking at what's happening right now on the Wall Street cheat sheet. So what you can see, guys, at each of these different levels, we see different emotions unfolding. When we're at the top, euphoria, I'm a genius, we're all going to be rich. You probably felt like that before if you've invested in coins like Solana and other things when they've been absolutely booming. But right now, obviously, we're looking at the downside of this, where we might be looking at anger, blaming other people, whose fault is it that this is happening, etc. But then we do tend to see that kind of moving back, and ultimately once we start to feel these kind of raw emotions of fear, anxiety, etc., and we start wanting to sell, that for me tends to mean we do tend to be nearer the bottom of the cycle than towards the top. So could we be really in a great buying opportunity for Bitcoin and other cryptos? Well, if we look at what's happening here, we can see that we go from euphoria into complacency, anxiety, denial, panic, capitulation, anger, depression, disbelief. Well, disbelief then comes back here, guys. Hope, optimism, belief, thrill, etc. So you see the market cycle, you see how it all works. If we think about all the news, etc., about crypto right now, everyone's absolutely devastated. Everyone's panicking. You're seeing it everywhere across YouTube. You're seeing all sorts of news. Now, I'm not just a moon boy. I'm not just saying that this is definitely going to be an upside move, but we have seen significant downside. But most significantly, we are still yet to put in a lower low on the weekly. Okay, so it might feel terrible because we've come from this height up here of 69 or nearly 70,000, and we're now at like 34,000, so pretty much halved in value. But we have higher lows, and the weekly candle, which we're currently sat in right now, which is this red candle here, we're due to cover the close in the coming sort of few hours or so. And right now you can see that this one candle that happened all the way back on the 21st of February, we are sort of struggling to break through that low. And jumping into another time frame, we're going to look at the 4 hour. You can see something playing out right now. And what we're seeing on the 4 hour time frame, guys, is these wicks towards the downside. Now, obviously you can see here we had wicks and then we continue to push further down. But actually in the shorter term, these wicks do tend to mean that we are getting exhausted. We are slowing down. We are struggling to push lower in price because every time we push down towards these levels, buyers are coming in and pushing the market back up. And if we think about what happens between 30,000, 34,000, well, significantly in the past, we've seen Michael Saylor jumping in, buying a ton of Bitcoin around these prices. We see Elon Musk buying around these prices. We see lots of people jumping in and buying at these prices. And notice how it coincides nicely with this yellow bottom support line. And ultimately, if we are managing to have a weekly close pretty much above the $34,000 mark, then that technically is still a higher low. Technically, in the shorter term, It could mean that we drop lower, but in terms of what I'm seeing on the weekly, we are still in an uptrend. It might not feel like it, but we have been in this trend for a year now. But we are still in kind of like a longer term uptrend. I'm not saying that we're in an uptrend right now. It's quite clear that we're not. 34,000 is pretty much our line in the sand, guys. If we drop in below here, and significantly, if we are having our weekly close below here, then things are going to be pretty disastrous. I think, guys, if the worst case happens and we have our weekly close below there, well, our next line in the sand, we've got to look at where our previous support lines have come in, and you can see that we had support lines here. Again, you can see they had big wicks on them, guys. Big wicks. Notice every time we've capitulated here, what has followed on from that? Don't expect that this is just going to bounce and go to the moon, guys, okay? So look at what happened. We had a breakthrough, we came back, we retested, we put in these wicks, bang. We went from, what, 34k all the way up to about 58k in about 3 weeks. Here we had 6 or 7 weeks of capitulation towards the downside, each time putting in these wicks. You can see all these wicks, guys, showing buying pressure. And what happened there? We went from, what, 32k below current price, and we shot up to 52k in the space of 4 or so weeks, less than a month. So potentially right now we are in this key area, closing pretty much where we are right now. Wouldn't be a terrible thing for Bitcoin, I don't believe, because we're still maintaining this high, guys. Although we're not looking for a solid line in the sand, we're looking at resistance and support, not just as single lines, but more as kind of like boxes of support and resistance, right? Because you can see we wick down through, we kind of reach different levels each time, but maintaining that we are supporting ourselves at this level right now. A lot of fear, a lot of anxiety in the market. I'm telling you right now that it's probably not the best time, and I could be wrong, not a financial advisor, go away and do your own research, that actually we could be finding support. So we could be a couple of weeks away from a bit of sideways action, and then you can see the upside potential. In terms of the downside potential, I think that actually our lower side is around $28,000. As I said, guys, it could be wrong. We could see an absolute bloodbath towards the downside, but ultimately the news is telling me lots of negativity, lots of stuff that's making us worry. It's designed to do that, guys, because it's designed to shake you out the market so that the big money can come in and buy your cheap Bitcoin, your cheap Ethereum at affordable prices. Right now, I'm pretty happy, like not super happy, because obviously I want it to be up here, because I'd obviously have much more money in the bank if that was the case, and there'd be many more people watching YouTube videos. But you need to pay attention when the prices are low, guys, because right now we can see that we are finding support. We've just looked at the wicks on the 4 hour. If we're bouncing, then we're going to be looking towards the 44k. That's not to say, as I've said already, that we're going to shoot straight up and find our 76k or maybe even more. But potentially we're going to continue to push and form this triangle that we can see building out here. Ultimately, guys, things still look okay in crypto for me. Obviously, pay attention to what's happening. Don't use any money that you can't afford to lose. But ultimately, if you bought at the top and you're feeling a bit sorry for yourself, right now is not really necessarily the time to sell, because we sell here, you're selling at half price, when really, ultimately, the price is always going to end up above where it's been in the past. This for me is accumulation zone. We have a good opportunity to be able to buy discounted crypto. You know, like think of it like something else, guys. If you wanted to buy, I don't know, PlayStation, a car, whatever it was, and it costs $47,000, and now you got the chance to buy it at $34,000 a month later. Is that not like a no-brainer? Like, obviously these charts kind of fool us and make us panic and stuff, but actually now we've got a chance to buy even cheaper. So even if I did buy here, I can now dollar cost average and buy cheaper, bringing down the overall average that I've paid for crypto, and putting it a little bit lower, which means when it goes back up, which eventually it will do, we are in a better position now. Now, guys, if you enjoyed that kind of real summary about crypto and what I think is going to happen, well, make sure you smash the like button. Thank you very much for doing that. Helps me out more than you know, and also kind of helps me get ahead of all those guys who are just hyping crypto all the time, telling you that it's perfect and you're going to make tons and tons of money, when actually they're just trying to sell you offers for various exchanges. As well as that, guys, if you're new to crypto, you want to learn more about crypto, this is a fantastic time to enter, in my opinion. So make sure you subscribe to the House of Crypto to be kept up to date with all the latest happening in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the crypto market. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye bye.